Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are so excited that you all came to join us this Sunday morning. But what a better place to be than right here in your house, on your couch, in your living room, than outside on this rainy day. Thank you, everyone, for being here and supporting the cause to raise money and awareness against domestic violence, and for all of your help with donations going to the Victoria Women's Transition House. So we are very excited to introduce to you our next presenter. It's Dr. Megan Yin. She is a colleague of Dr. Jordan Morton. So it's really great. He did a really great introduction for you. So I'll allow you to take over the floor. She's going to talk to us about ergonomics and mobility, and she is a chiropractor working out of BackFit. So thank you so much for being here. We're all very excited to hear what you have to say to help us with our spinal health.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro, Jordan. If you're still here, if you can still hear me, I really appreciate the shout out. Just a little bit of background on myself. I'm from the island, born and raised. I went to VIU up in Nanaimo and did my master's at UVic here. And then I studied chiropractic in Toronto. I've been back in Victoria practicing for just about a year and a bit now, and absolutely love it. And I was really, really excited to have the opportunity to talk to you guys today a little bit about spinal health. So thank you for the opportunity, Tanya and Whitney. All right, so today we're going to go over a few different things, and I just want to go over the sort of my goals and what I would like to cover. If there's anything else that you guys are interested in, if you want me to elaborate on anything, feel free to message me afterwards. That would be great. I love answering questions. So just as a starter here, I want you to think about how many of you have experienced back pain, maybe a little bit of neck pain. How many of you sit for more than 70% of your workday? I know that is really, it's going to be a high number of people who do spend a lot of their day sitting. I know the new cliche is sitting is the new smoking. It is true in a lot of respects. There is a lot of negative health effects of being sedentary all day. We're going to specifically focus on the spinal related ones, of course. So if we can go to the next slide, actually, we'll go through the table of contents. Sorry, I'll give you a heads up for when to go on to the next one. So what I'd like to cover today is the most common problems. These are the things that I see on a daily basis. Now, if there's anything else that comes up for you, again, please feel free to reach out. So we're going to go through the three most common problems that I see. We're going to talk about a few really simple solutions that you can do every day while you're sitting at work. These are going to be ergonomic improvements and some mobility exercises. And then, like I said, we'll cover some questions at the end. So without further ado, let's talk about the first most common issue that I see. Well, that first issue, the most common thing that I see is an issue of compression. Now, in order to give you guys a bit of a background, what is compression? So within your spine, there is a series of sandwiches. I do a lot of food related analogies. So in the spine, you've got a bone, and then in between each bone, there's a little disc, and then another bone, and then a little disc, et cetera, all the way up your spine. Now, the purpose of that disc is to absorb shock. We are running around playing sports, we've got heavy lifting to do, maybe we sit at a desk all day. All of our activity is under gravitational load, okay? Over the course of the day, we compress. That compression comes from the disc squishing just a little bit. Over the course of the night, at night while we're sleeping, those discs actually rehydrate and grow a little bit. That's why you're actually the tallest in the morning. Now, if you were to go to space right now, you would probably grow about 2 centimeters because those discs are able to rehydrate and refill with water, with fluid. Okay. How do we compress? Well, like I said, we're always under gravitational load. Certain positions, certain postures will compress us more. The most common position that compresses us is this kind of slouched over, hunched position at our desk all day. That in itself, that constant compressing effect is one of the most common problems that I see here. So, how does that impact? Like, what does that look like when you have compression in a disc? Well, the reason that we have discs is also to provide space. So, in between each of those bones up the spine, there's a little nerve that pops out the side. That's how the brain, through the spinal cord, communicates with the rest of your body. So if you have compression, not as much space for those nerves to function in a healthy way, what you're going to see is, first of all, pain. But the thing is, pain is the last thing to go. Pain is your body's last ditch effort to say, you need to do something about this. Like something is wrong here. Oftentimes there's stuff going on before that that could be improved so that you don't even get to the point of being in pain. Anyways, so that's besides the fact. So irritation of that nerve can cause pain. As it gets worse, that pain can be perceived in different parts of the body. For example, have you guys heard of something called sciatica? That is nerve compression in the lower back that then sends pain down into your legs. Not pleasant, trust me. If that nerve irritation gets worse, then you can have things like tingling, you can have things like numbness, lack of sensation in, say, your feet or your hands means that the signal is not getting through up into your brain. You're not getting that information. Okay. Another common symptom of disc compression, nerve irritation is just being really tight, really tight muscles, really intense guarded muscles in that area. Specifically, I find lower back and then in the neck and traps in this area. So what happens is the brain tells the muscles how much to contract through the nerves. If that message isn't getting through properly, you're going to be really tense and tight all the time. Or again, if it gets worse, you can have things like spasms. You can have those spasms locally, or you can have things like cramps or spasms down into your legs. That's a common one. And again, if it gets worse, you'll have weakness in a particular muscle group. So very, very important to maintain the health of your discs, okay? So we're gonna remember compression, that's number one issue. When we talk about solutions, I'm gonna give you some very specific things that help with compression. All right, so let's go on to the next slide, the second most common thing that I see in my practice, and that is alignment and mobility issues. So what does that mean? Well, from the front, our spine should be roughly straight. Nobody actually is. We all have little misalignments here and there, but in general, we should be about straight. Now, a really good analogy is, if you have a car, you change one tire, but the alignment isn't quite right. It's a little bit off. No problem. The car runs, it keeps going, but eventually it could get to the point of wearing just a little bit more than the other tires. Similar thing in the spine, and this is funny. So most commonly what I see is that people will have habits that contribute to misalignment. So they'll always kind of lean over on their desk and kind of rest their weight on one armrest, or they're always reaching forward using the mouse with one hand, or maybe they always cross one leg over the other. It's these silly little things that can contribute to misalignment. Now, again, initially, not a big deal. But eventually, if you put that area under a little bit more stress, maybe you're at the computer with a deadline and you work 10 hours straight, or perhaps you are lifting something very heavy at work, that can potentially contribute to alignment plus a little bit more stress. You can pop up with symptoms. Okay. Now, another issue sort of in relation to alignment is that when you have an area that is misaligned, that tends to get restricted and less mobile. Now, mobility is extremely important. The way that we evolved was to be hunter-gatherers, running around on the plains. Our strongest adaptation is our ability to keep on moving all day. The problem is we no longer do that, even though our bodies are evolved for that function. So sometimes we need to put a little bit more effort into improving that mobility, that movement. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, there is a difference between flexibility and mobility. Okay, flexibility is how stretchy your muscles are. So it's your ability to get into the splits. Now I've got this picture on my slide here. Mobility is a combination of your muscles being able to get into the splits, but also being strong and controlled enough not to rip your groin when you're down there and to actually get out of the splits. So it's your ability to move and control your body in all sorts of positions, not just kind of slouching over at the desk or repetitive activities or repetitive loading types of work. So how can mobility keep me healthy? Well, again, our bodies are made to move. If we don't use it, we lose it. And that can be said for, things you studied in school, but it can also be for things that include movements. And that depends, it depends on what kind of movements you want to do. For example, I have a lot of weekend warriors. And so for people who play, let's say, a lot of tennis, you need a certain amount of rotation, mobility, strength, and control to hit that nice ground stroke. 30 degrees of trunk rotation is what you need for a good quality tennis swing. However, let's talk about someone who plays golf now. And I get a ton of people who have back pain because of their golf game. And here's the thing, you actually need 60 degrees of rotation through the spine when you take a golf swing. So there's a difference in terms of what you want to do with your body. Well, what kind of mobility do I need? What should I be working on in terms of, keeping myself really, really healthy and optimized so that I can do the sport that I want to do? So if you don't use it, you lose it. And this plays into the importance of doing some of the exercises I'm going to go over with you in a second. So let's go on to the next slide. Our third most common problem that I see, this is a huge one, and I'm sure all of you can relate to our little desk worker here over on the right. What is good posture? And I'm sure you guys have sort of an inkling. Well, good posture is sitting up straight in your chair, which is totally true. You have less compressive load if you are stacked, so ears over shoulder over hips. However, the best posture is actually the one you just moved out of. So what that means is just, again, we are made to move. We're made to be dynamic. We're not made to hold a specific posture for that long. If you took the most elite athlete and you put them in a slouched over posture at a desk and you said, stay there for 8 hours, I guarantee even the most elite athlete is going to be uncomfortable by the end of the day. We're not meant to just hold one posture. So I know that, a lot of you have jobs that do require a lot of time on the computer, but there's a ton of things that you can do to mitigate any sort of symptoms that pop up from that. A lot of people talk about sit-stand desks. Well, here's the thing. Any posture that you maintain for too long is not ideal. So even if you are sitting up with the perfect posture, with the least compressive load on your spine for the entire day, still, you're not going to be super comfortable by the end of the day. Even if you were standing at a sit-stand desk all day, still not going to be super comfortable by the end of the day. Our bodies crave change and movement. So the sit-stand desks that are easy to adjust, those are actually the best for posture. Your ability to move and alter your position, that's key. Okay. So I can see that I sent you an earlier version of my slideshow, so I don't have the other questions on there, but just know they just relate to what is good posture, how should we be sitting or standing at work, et cetera, which is something that we are going to cover next. So in terms of compression, let's talk about a couple of exercises that you can do. And I don't have pictures or videos for this, so you'll just have to follow along with me. So in terms of compression, again, we compress when we are sedentary, when we hold specific positions for too long. Compression and posture play into, and they are very related to each other. So change in position allows for decreased compression. So two very easy exercises that you can do to help with compression. Number one, wobbles. Great name, right? It's just a wobbling exercise. All you're gonna do is sit up nice and straight and just rock your spine side to side. Easy, right? We're not going for a stretch. We're not going for an increase in, muscular flexibility. All we're doing is we're trying to increase blood flow, increase tissue and fluid movement in specifically the lower back, okay? And what I usually recommend is that you do about 30 side to side. Now, the second movement for wobbles is just front to back. Again, it's just increasing the movement through the tissues in the low back. So push the belly button back, round your spine, and then extend your spine, open up your chest, push your belly button forward. And again, I recommend about 30 times with that motion. Notice that you can still keep working while you're doing those wobbles, but it does allow you to have a bit of a movement break. All right, the next wobble is we're gonna just do circles. So you kind of pretend you're hula hooping on your chair. Now I have a pillow on my chair, so it's a little bit easier to get that motion in, but you can do something similar when you're at work. So even taking something like a sweatshirt, putting that on your chair to have a little bit more give, that can allow you enough range of motion to get those wobbles in. I do 30 in each direction, so 30 clockwise and 30 counterclockwise. Again, targeting the lower spine for that movement, okay? So second exercise that improves or decreases the amount of compressive load you're putting on your spine all day is very simple. All you're gonna do is brace your arms kind of behind you. Just use your arms to create a little bit of lift, and then you're gonna lean back slightly in your chair. So again, you're just allowing for a little bit less compression down, and you're putting your spine in more of an extended posture versus that flexed, slouched forward posture, okay? So from the side, you would be creating that extension position in the spine. All right, now things to help alignment and mobility. Well, number one, I'm going to give you guys some homework for this week. In terms of alignment, remember how I said a lot of alignment issues relate back to habits. What are you doing on a regular basis that is asymmetrical? So be a little observant about your habits this week. Note whether you always cross your leg over one side or lean over on your chair like this, or if you always stand with your weight on one leg versus the other one, and try and make those actions and movements a bit more symmetrical. That can help with slight misalignments. In terms of my favorite mobility exercise, specifically for people who work at a desk all day, is just shoulder blade circles. So all you're going to do is you imagine your arms are a bookshelf. You don't want to drop your books. All you're going to do is squeeze your shoulder blades together and low, slide your shoulder blades narrow and up, push your bookshelf forward, and then bring it down. Finally, you squeeze your shoulder blades together. So in that way, you kind of make a square with your shoulder blades. That activates a ton of muscles in the upper back. If you think about it, if you're slouching all day, those muscles are constantly under, a lengthened position. They're constantly under strain. This exercise does exactly the opposite. We are squeezing, activating, moving those muscles all around, giving ourselves a little postural break and improving the mobility, the strength, and the control of the muscles in your upper back. Okay. Now, the last main issue that I see on a daily basis is issues of posture. Now, this is something that, it's hard to think about all day. When you get in the zone, you've got a deadline, you're sitting there all hunched over. What I really, really encourage you guys to do, set a timer in your phone. Every 45 minutes to an hour, it goes off and you shift your position. Now, I'm not talking that you need to, get up and go for a walk. I mean, of course, that's ideal, but unrealistic. All you need to do is slight changes. Make it realistic, make it doable. At 45 minutes, the first time, maybe I push my bum back into my chair and reset my posture. The second time the alarm goes off, maybe I do my little mobility exercise for my shoulder blades. Third time, maybe I get up and get a glass of water. But having that consistent reminder to move and to shift up your posture gives you a chance to take off that constant compressive load on your spine. It gives you the chance to move your body, move your joints, move your muscles, and it allows you some time to reset your posture. Okay, posture is really what relates to everything, and your ability to move around. Make sure you're sitting in a good position. Make sure that you don't sit there for too long. Okay. And then the last exercise that I want to show you that really improves upper back and relieves some tension on the neck. Super simple. It's called Look at the Birds. All you're going to do is, I'll tilt my monitor down a little bit. All you're going to do is kind of bring your hands up like you're holding plates. Rotate your arms out to the side. Again, you're squeezing between your shoulders. You're activating that muscle in your upper back. And look up at the sky. If you think about it, that posture, that stretch is exactly the opposite of what you're doing all day, which is usually this. Now, I'm specifically talking to desk workers just because in the past 2 months, I have seen so many more people come in with those types of problems. But if you have any other work-related positions or movements that are kind of bothersome for you, please, like I mentioned, leave them in the chat room and we will address them after my presentation. Now, the last thing I wanted to go over is, how do you know if your spine is functional? How do you know if you have compression? How do you know if you have alignment issues or mobility issues? How do you know if the posture of your spine is really healthy and functional? And the answer is, well, you get checked. So we do an exam at BackFit that basically gives you a report card of your spinal health. And I want to emphasize that, I have patients who come in just to get the assessment. They're not in pain. They don't desperately need help to decrease it. They can't go to work, et cetera, et cetera. I have a lot of people who come in and say, you know what, I really want to continue playing my sport. Is there any exercises or stretches that you feel would be beneficial to me? And so we go over that. Yes, I have patients who come in and they are in significant amounts of pain, and we do pain management as well. But my favorite case is the people who come in before they're in pain. It is so much easier to give proactive exercises, stretches, ergonomic improvements for you to do at home before you're to the point of, oh my God, I can't go to work because there is no way I'm sitting for 8 hours. So I just wanted to really emphasize that there are tons of things that you can do in terms of just simple movements every single day, simple habit improvements that will keep you optimized, functional, and healthy. All right, so that brings it to the end of my presentation. I'll hand it back to Tanya, and then I'll stick around to answer a few questions. Is that
Yes,
what?
please. If you could
Yeah.
stick around to answer some questions, that'd be amazing. I
Okay.
also want everyone to know that if you need to go before our next one, if you go to Emerald Day Spa YYJ in our stories, I posted those exercises,
Oh,
the
great.
the birds and the other one. So I think it's a really good refresher after this, and we'll also
Awesome.
be having this on our YouTube channel. But that was really incredible, and I just have to mention that after when I mentioned that Jordan, he helped my back, and what I've been going to Back Fit for the last 3 months, getting decompression and getting a chiropractic assessment, and it has been incredible. All of you at BackFit are incredible. I'm so glad you agreed to come and share your expertise. It was awesome. So thank you.
Absolutely.
We're going to get a
I
lot of
love
feedback.
talking about this stuff, so my pleasure.
So I posted your email, and if you could stick around for some chats, that would be great. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr. Megan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we'll see you soon. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.